One of the tougher things about commenting on Buffy is when you have to be actually very critical and not attack the show, but notice some very big flaws. And there are very many flaws to go through. Probably the biggest one is the soul, metaphysics, and the demon personality. That just seems like a complete mess, and it's so foundational. It's shocking it was never really resolved. But here we're treating a much more minor controversy, and we're just going to have a good fun at laughing at this dilemma that Buffy basically repeated itself. And originally I was going to tackle 4 episodes and demonstrate how, yeah, they just repeated the same story twice. Although if you're a super Buffy expert, you'll kind of say, no, they kind of did it 3 times. But let's be generous and say it was only officially 2 episodes that they just totally repeated. Sort of minimize my work because I think Help at least did do a little bit more than we usually think, at least with the ending. So I want to be a little more gentle. Though in the other case, it's pretty bad. So here it's a kind of semi-bad case of repetition with Help in season 7. And what did it repeat? I know people probably want to forget or don't even remember, but there's Reptile Boy. Yes, Reptile Boy. They pretty much just did the whole thing all over again. There's virtually no change from what they did with Reptile Boy. And Reptile Boy, we have privileged white men in a fraternity who apparently will come together to form a cult to sacrifice for a demonic force to get the money and power. And in Help, we have privileged white, and yeah, it's literally the same thing. There's a few slight variations. I mean, I guess with Reptile Boy, the demon is full-blown penis, very explicitly a penis monster, and they really lean on, oh, it's a fraternity and that aspect, but it is basically the same gist. It's even led by a white man, being very explicitly clear about the racial and gender politics. You know, Buffy, she's taking down that patriarchy and slicing it down to size. I did like that Spike is in Help, whereas Angel is in Reptile Boy, but again, minor differences aside, what can we say about this? That they were feeling bored or they're getting lazy? Maybe they want a creative swing twice. Like, hey, Reptile Boy, not the best episode. Let's give it a no. They just didn't care. I guess it's an interesting, deep question in any mythology. If you just keep going and going and going, are you going to repeat yourself? And again, Buffy hit the 100 episode mark a while ago, so you do have that problem that with a structural story like this, you may repeat yourself. But I don't think they're innocent. Here they just didn't care. They're just like, we're just gonna copy and paste. I will say, not to ruin Help. Help has a very strong, very powerful ending, and that is very different from Reptile Boy. Reptile Boy, its ending is cute. It's actually funny. It does actually have an interesting political point. I mean, apparently this cult was controlling everything. So corporations, banks, the whole system's being destroyed because, Buffy cut down the penis reptile thing. And it was interesting to see Cordelia and Buffy team up. They don't do that too many times. They've only done that canonically a few times. That was interesting that Cordelia was not just, there to make fun of Buffy. But yeah, there's really not much to comment on because Reptile Boy is the definition of filler. It's just silly episode where, the gang gets in trouble, then they have to pitch in to get her out of trouble. That's about it. Season 7, yes. Help does try to be a little bit more ambitious. It does have a bigger meaning and purpose. There's a very critical set of scenes that really set up the rest of the season. So there, it is much more vital. Reptile Boy, you could technically just erase it. It's not going to ruin the season. So, there you go. In fact, probably a lot of Buffy fans are like, Reptile Boy? Oh yeah, that's where she was chained up, right. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So, again, not being super critical, but yes, sometimes Buffy just didn't go anywhere. It just was like, okay, we're just going to repeat the whole thing and only switch a few minor things. This wouldn't be frustrating, but in season 7, they really ran out of time, and there were so many episodes like, wow, you really needed to alter a few things, or if you just spent a few more minutes, or maybe structure them differently, and so they had basically a whole episode, and they just didn't take that opportunity to set up things better, and so a lot of problems with season 7 is that too many things are rushed at the end, and here they had basically a whole 30 minutes to themselves, and they decided not to exploit that. And it wouldn't be that frustrating, except they did it twice. there's another episode in season 7 that you could have found the time to fix a lot of things later, but you didn't do that. So yeah, I like season 7 a lot. I actually defend it, but it does have some big holes. Help is only a minor one, but they did it again in season 7, and that's way more unforgivable, unfortunately.